A very, very, very good morning to you. It is a very special weekend at NTV because for the very first time in a long time, we are back on the road. And this time, we are in two counties. County number 27, that's Kirinyaga County, as well as county number 6, Taita Taveta County, which is where I am right now. Today, Taita Taveta County is hosting the World Food Day, which is an event that is marked every year, and for the second time in a row, it is being marked under COVID conditions, which is why everybody around me is wearing a mask now. But Taita Taveta is hosting this day under the theme our actions are our future. And over the next couple of minutes, I think about 30 minutes, we'll be telling you about why this day matters and why the food you eat matters, why you should care more about the food that you eat. But first, let's talk to P.S. Hamadi Boga, who is the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Principal Secretary of Agricultural Research. P.S., thank you for making time to talk to us today.
Thank you very much, Zainab, for talking to us also. Yes.
Tell me about this World Food Day, especially in the context of Kenya being a food insecure country. Why does it matter to us?
The World Food Day is the day FAO was founded, so it's commemorated every year on 16th of October, where the government also partners with FAO and other agencies like World Food Program, IFAD, and county governments to look at the food security situation and to look at the measures that the government is putting in place to make sure that we have enough food. And so here at the showground, the ministry, together with the county government and all these partners, have put a showcase of how people can be able to feed themselves using very simple climate-smart technologies that assure everybody of food security. So this is important. Last 2 years, we did it in Makueni. Now we are doing it here. And especially for these ASAL counties, which are considered to be food insecure. And where this year, because of drought, almost 11 counties are affected, including the neighboring Kwale County. We show that within our means and within the resources that we have, and we are still able to produce food that is nutritious.
But P.S., would you really say that this day really makes a difference to us, considering that we are consistently being ranked, even in the latest Global Hunger Index, Kenya is still classified as seriously hungry?
No, I don't think it's classified as seriously hungry. We have a population of about 1.4 million Kenyans in ASAL areas who are usually food insecure. And this is the population where we have targeted to reduce that population by half by 2022. I think the only times when we seriously get affected is when there's a drought like this and production fails. Like this year, our production has gone down by 30%, but this is expected because we are dealing with weather situations. Short rain fails, long rain fails, the coming short rains will fail. And every 5 years we have these cycles. And that is why most of our programs have shifted towards climate smart, so that people can learn how to grow food in water scarce kinds of environment. So there are a lot of measures being put in place. There are a lot of cultural changes that have to take place in some of the communities for them to be able to adapt. Yeah, so it matters that we have these discussions. This year has been a year where we have been discussing food in Africa, food in the world. Everybody is talking about food. The issue of food is not just a Kenyan one, it's a global one. And we have to continue supporting our farmers because they're the ones who are feeding us. Yeah.
And finally, before I let you go, P.S., talk to me a little bit about the theme for today, our actions, our future, better production, better nutrition, better environment. How are we tapping into this to improve our food system in the country?
You see most of the programs, if you go around, they are thinking about how do you increase productivity so that you produce more on less acreage, so you produce better. We can double our production just by changing the way we farm. And then environment, because most of the issues we are facing about drought is because the way we have misused the environment. So everybody has to produce sustainably. And then whatever we produce, you see the diversity of food is to make sure that we eat what is nutritious. We don't just grow maize alone. And so for better lives, better health, we need to combine this: environment, nutrition, increased productivity. And Africa has a problem of low yields, which we must address using some of these technologies that we are showcasing here today.
Thank you very much, P.S. Boga. Thank you very much. So this day will continue on until the rest of the day. And as it's not just the Ministry of Agriculture that's here, the United Nations is also here. And we're going to talk to Dr. Lauren Landis from the World Food Program to tell us, why does this day matter to WFP?
This day is really about food production and how important it is to Kenya as a whole, to its economic development, to its environment, to its nutrition, something WFP holds close to its heart, and of course to all of the women that are so critical to its production.
Looking at the numbers this year, the number of people who are food insecure, FAO's latest numbers, the numbers reported in 2020 are higher than the numbers reported last year. How does that make you feel as the World Food Program?
Well, as the World Food Program, I'm really concerned, particularly about the drought. And that has really brought up the number of people that are affected to something like 2.1 million. This is really a crisis. But I think what we have to do in Kenya is stop thinking about it in terms of a shock. The droughts in Kenya are becoming more and more frequent and more intense. So days like today, World Food Day, reminds us that we really have to focus on resilience, how to live with this climate change, how to really work with our environment to really survive and change lives despite this chronic crisis that we see every day.
Have you been able to see maybe what is the missing link, why Kenya is constantly food insecure, and you keep talking about investing in agriculture a lot? What is the missing link?
Well, I think it's the need for all of us to come together and work collectively. And so things like we're seeing today with so many farmers, so many agencies, government officials really coming together, look at the new and innovative techniques, the smart agriculture, the better post-harvest protection, all of these different innovative techniques that can really help us do a better job.
Thank you very much, Dr. Landis. Thank you very much. We'll catch up with you again as the day proceeds. Now, the World Food Day is marked all over the world on the 16th day of October, and it is hosted by the Food and Agriculture Organization. And the country representative for FAO Kenya is also here to tell us about this day. Hi, Karla. This is your first World Food Day in Kenya, right?
It's true.
It is your first World Food Day. How do you feel about it?
No, I'm so happy to see what we have achieved. We are in Taita Taveta, the country that is hosting World Food Day this year, and we are here really to raise awareness on the importance of food and the need to ensure that everyone, everywhere, has access to enough food, affordable food, nutritious food, and safe food, so that they can really lead an active and, I will say, a healthy life. The theme of this year, as you know, is our actions are our future, and is calling the attention that we need really to act in a responsible way so that we can protect our environment. So better production, which means that we have to increase production because we have to eat the population that is growing in the world and in Kenya, but we have to do it in a responsible way. And better nutrition. Nutrition is really very important. We have to promote healthy diets. Eat more fish, eat more vegetables. Actually, this is the year of fruits and vegetables. Milk, which is really very important. And I should really say that we want to celebrate our farmers. We want to celebrate the workers that are really working throughout the food supply chain, because whatever happens, we know that we are really impacted by climate change. Drought is impacting this county, but they are there to bring food to our plates. So let's really celebrate, and we can see what is really happening here. So it's really a moment to recognize the great work that our farmers are doing and all those who are really working throughout the food supply chain.
You mentioned producing food in a sustainable way. What are some of the ways in which you can do that?
Well, one of the ways, and actually some of the projects and programs that we are supporting on climate smart agriculture, so that you can really produce in a very small space, but increase productivity, use, of course, improved seeds, less water. So those are some of the ways to produce really in a very sustainable way, so that you don't harm the environment, but you really harness the potential that small land with the, of course, needed inputs can really, produce.
Over the last couple of years, the Ministry of Agriculture has been implementing a climate smart program. Have you been able to assess the impact of this program on food production in the country?
We are working on that, but we see the results where we have been really able to implement and, of course, train, particularly women. I should really say that the women are the backbone of agriculture, and they have been doing so well. What we have been seeing is that the results are really impacting positively. So those are some of the successful stories that we are really celebrating in the day like today, and we want to upscale them. We want to expand them because it's through that we can really ensure food security and nutrition and really achieve the 2030 agenda and the vision of course, making sure that the world is not going hungry.
Thank you very much, Calda. I hope you enjoy your first all-full day in Kenya.
I am. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, of course, we cannot have this discussion without talking to the county government, the host of this day. We have the County Executive Committee member in charge of agriculture, Davis Mongoma, to tell us a little bit about why this day is being hosted in Taita Taveta County. Hi, Davis.
Hi. Thank you very much, Zainabu. My name is Davis Mongoma. I'm the County Executive Committee member, Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries, Irrigation in this beautiful county of Taita Taveta. Now, first of all, I'm very grateful to the organizers who chose Taita Taveta to host this function. And I think they must have thought wisely about Taita because Taita Taveta is we have very unique features, a very unique environment. This county is divided into two almost extreme weather patterns. We have the highland areas and we have the lowland areas, and then we have the irrigable areas of Taveta. So us in terms of agriculture, we practice a range of agricultural activities in this county. And therefore, it was an opportunity for us to showcase when in terms of food production, what is it that we are doing as a county. So let me start by saying thanks to, first of all, the national government. Thank you for His Excellency, the Governor, Grantos Samboja, for accepting, for working very closely, and for making this department, making agriculture as a priority. So,
maybe if I interrupt you just briefly, right now, what is the status of food security in your county?
The status of food security, despite the weather pattern, the issues of climate change, delay of rains that have just passed, COVID-19, all those challenges come in place. This county we say is 80%. From the survey we've done, is 80% food secure. And there are pockets of about 20% or so of the county that are still food insecure. But we're working on that with a lot of other organizations. For example, in the lowland areas where we have those pockets, we've put in a mechanism, first of all, of developing water pans for the community, encouraging them to do water harvesting, and then plant drought-tolerant crops such as sorghum and green grams, and which has really taken up. And other crops such as dolcas, lablab, which have really taken up in this county, millet and the like. And then in the highland areas, we've introduced other crops, like recently, I think you saw me the other day talking very passionately about potatoes, which is doing very well in this county because of the challenges we have had with maize because of the weather pattern. So we've introduced other crops such as Irish potatoes. We're doing banana in Taveta in big time, to an extent that we shall be having a factory very soon. So in terms of food production, we're doing all what it can for the county to be food secure.
If I just ask you, if you look at the soil, especially around Voi, it looks loose and kind of a little bit you might say it's not quite easy to work with. So how are you working with this kind of soil here in order to, you said at least 80% of your account is food secure. How are you doing it with your soil looking like this?
That is all the reasons why we have brought this function here in Voi. And if you look at the field, we're very lucky. The soils are loose and they are red soils. Red soils in terms of production. That's why we have said let's have the field here in Voi, because Voi has, that's where there are some pockets of areas where there is food insecure in areas of Kasigao, some neighboring counties of Mbololo and the like, some neighboring areas of Maungu. So in terms of soils, we've seen the demonstration in the field. We've done demonstrations here that in this area, with proper good agricultural practices, using issues like we've done demonstrations of pits, water conservation. It is possible for you to grow vegetables, even cabbages. We've seen sukuma wiki, kales, green grams in the field. We've grown even courgettes in this area. So they can do very well, and we've seen it as part of the demonstration exercise that we have done in the field today. You can utilize and we can use that opportunity for us to, even as a country, to be food secure. So crops in the lowland areas with proper timing, with proper climate information. We have a project here on climate information, proper planting, issues of proper planting, water conservation. The soils here are still very good for growing crops like groundnuts, growing beans, Dolcas lablab, pigeon peas, sorghum, green grams, all those drought-tolerant crops which we have introduced in these lowland areas, and they are doing extremely well. Yes.
Thank you very much, Waziri. We will catch up with you again as the day progresses to talk more about farming in Taita Taveta, especially in light of it being also among the dry counties. Now, the International Fund for Agricultural Development is also a very key contributor to the World Food Day, especially when it comes to production of food in sustainable manners. And right now we'll hear from Francesco Rispoli, who's the country director of IFAD. Hi, Francesco.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody.
Welcome to Taita Taveta. Talk to me about how to produce food in a sustainable system in light of the theme of this year's Food Day.
I think it's essential to engage and to start from smallholder farmers. If we look at the production of food in the world globally, 1/3 of the food globally produced comes from smallholder farmers. And if we look at here in Kenya, 60% of the food consumed by people are coming from smallholder farmers. So I think it's essential that we transform our food systems in a way that smallholder farmers gain centrality. And how they gain centrality? They need to access the resources and the capacity and what they need to produce sustainably.
Great. Now, looking at Taita Taveta and the soil, you've noticed the soil, what it looks like. It looks loose and easy to be blown away, easy for erosion. This is what much of the arid lands in Kenya, the arid and semi-arid lands, this is the kind of soil they have to work with. How can they harness this soil in order to make it more productive?
I think this is a serious challenge. Azal definitely is a challenging area for agriculture. I think, agricultural practices, use of technologies, adequate technologies, access to adequate inputs, including fertilizer and seeds, can help enhance production and productivity. So it is important to associate better agricultural practices with access to knowledge. And I think today we have those technologies and those resources to do that. So I think also in the other region here in Taita Taveta, it can be, smallholders can produce more and more sustainably.
Do you think that the smallholder farmer here actually gets all the attention that they need, because they always complain that they don't get access to input, they don't have access to market, the government is not supporting them effectively? What do you think is the place of the smallholder farmer in Kenya's production system?
I think, the Food System Summit called all of us to a fast action. We need to meet the Sustainable Development Goals, and we only have last 10 years. And I think, Kenya, the government, the donor community, civil society has recognized the challenges. and also the centrality again of smallholder farmers. So I think, as you correctly said, that they face a lot of constraints, but I think there is recognition on their role. And then actually today is also a day to thank all the smallholder farmers of Kenya that despite the challenges, they continue to produce for their communities, but also for the growth of the country. I believe that there is a recognition of their role. More can be done. Yes, this is true. And this is why we are here. All of us are here.
Thank you very much, Francesco, for your time. Of course, this day will not be complete without talking to the farmer, because the farmers are the ones who produce the food we eat. And the notebook that I'm holding in my hand here says small farmers feed the world, and 80% of all the food produced in the world is produced by small-scale farmers. And we have a farmer here who's going to talk to us, and her name tag says that her name is Zipporah. Habari yako Zipporah?
Salama madam, habari leo? Asante.
Wewe ni mkulima kutoka wapi?
Mimi ni mkulima kutoka Vundanyi Mbale Ward, specific Mogolo sub-location. Yeah.
Hiyo ni kaunti gani?
Hiyo ni kaunti ya Taita Taveta.
Kaunti ya Taita Taveta hapa. Wewe ni mkulima hapa Taita Taveta. Niambie kidogo kuhusu kilimo chako. Ni changamoto gani ambazo unapata wewe kama mkulima?
Changamoto iko kwa sababu ya change of climate. Naona vile kumekuwa na mvua kidogo, na sisi tunang'ang'ana sana ili ya kwamba tuweze kufikia katika ile one of the main 4 agendas za serikali ya food security. Kwa hivyo tunang'ang'ana sana, lakini challenge inakuwa ni mvua, inakuwa kidogo. Sasa inabidi tuna stress. At least sometimes tunajifunza hii technology ya kulima off season ili ya kwamba tuweze kuwa tuko na chakula, tuweze kuwa kwamba tuna kitu ya kuweka mdomoni angalau pia familia na kufanya biashara kuendeleza maisha yetu.
Sasa mojawapo ya vitu ambazo zinatiliwa mkazo sana hapa katika siku hii ya leo ni vile nyinyi kama wakulima mnaweza kuzalisha chakula kwa njia ambayo haidhuru mazingira. Wewe kama mkulima wa hapa Taita Taveta na kuzingatia kwa kaunti yako iko katika maeneo kame ya nchi hii, ni vipi unatumia mbinu ambazo hazidhuru mazingira katika kilimo chako?
Mbinu ambazo ninatumia zisidhuru kaunti ni ile kwamba tuweze kufanya ukulima katika ile mvua kidogo yenye tumepata, tuitumie kupanda mimea yenye ambayo inatumia mvua kidogo na pia ni ya muda mchache. Tusipande, yani tutumie ile drought tolerant crops ambazo kama sahii mimi kama mkulima ninalima viazi waru na kuna viazi sweet potatoes, alafu kuna mahindi yenye pia ninawakilisha sahii katika wakulima, inaitwa DK. DK ni mahindi yenye ni drought tolerant crop na inatumia maji kidogo na muda mchache kukua.
Ni nini ambacho ungependa kujifunza hapa leo?
Hapa zaidi kenye nafurahia kujifunza ama nimejifunza ni technologies tofauti zenye wakulima wameleta katika hii World Food Day. Kuna mambo ya value chain, ikiwa mimi mwenyewe ni mmoja wao katika value chain ya potatoes. Tumeleta vitu tofauti pale, kuna chapati, kuna kimanga. Yani jinsi ya kutumia bidhaa si kwa kitu kimoja peke yake. Inaweza toa vitu vingine tofauti. Yes.
Kimanga ni chakula ambacho toko kwetu kwenye mimi natoka Kakamega County tunayo, lakini tunaita mshenye.
Mshenye. Wengine wanaita mkimo.
Yes. Asante sana Zipporah kwa kuzungumza nasi. Yes, I hope you have a good day and you get to learn from the farmers. Now, there are a lot more people here for us that you can talk to today. And there's also another lady here joining us. Maybe you can introduce yourself?
My name is Husna Mbarak. I work for FAO in Kenya on aspects of natural resources, but most importantly, gender. And I think the day today is also one of the recognition, of course, is for the 4 betters, for better production, better nutrition, and better environment. And importantly, and also better life, but also the recognition for and acknowledgement for women participation, especially the gender balance within agriculture, that is quite worth it. And looking at the smallholder type of approach, where we have more women within the discussion, but importantly is also to really value both genders in a way that they all contribute to the food systems, and that is very, very important.
You mentioned women. Do you think women really have their actual place in this country, considering they work the land but they don't own it?
Yes, that's very important. But when you speak about women and land, importantly, we say that the access is the most important thing. So if the moment they have access, that is where they can even produce more. But definitely within our cultures, we know there are so many restrictions. But with time and with policy development and enhancement, we get to have women actually claiming their space and be able to really prove they're worth it, and they can really be very productive in the agriculture sector, but mostly in every other sector. And again, for the Kenyan government, you could see the policy of really having that affirmative action and that inclusion of women and youth and people, vulnerable communities within the discussion. And that is very, very important, yes.
Thank you very much, Husna. Thank you. Now, remember I said this weekend, NTV is on the road, and we're in 2 counties. We're in county number 27, Kirinyaga County. Of course, they will tell you what the county Kirinyaga is doing, as well as how the county is feeding itself. And we are also in county number 6, which is Taita Taveta County, talking to you about food security and the World Food Day, and how the world can produce better food, more nutritious food in a more sustainable manner that is environmentally friendly. Now, if you look at the nature of agriculture in itself, it is said to be one of the key drivers of climate change because of the kind of production systems that agriculture employs across the world, be it food production or livestock production. So over the last few years, as the world tries to climate-proof itself and to adapt and mitigate climate change, the agriculture industry has been challenged to adopt more sustainable ways of food production. That is things like zero-till farming, which requires a minimum disturbance of the ground, rehabilitation of the rangelands in order to give those communities that live in the dry lands a better chance when it comes to drought. For instance, right now, at least 12 counties are in the grip of a drought with 2.1 million people said to be seriously affected, and the number is expected to rise to 2.4 by November. So the discussion here is expected to come up with some of the solutions that the farmers who are both here and also out not here can adopt in their small plots. There's a lot of demonstration plots going on. You'll be able to see them. What kind of technologies that these farmers can adopt in those farms in order to not only grow more food for themselves, but do it in a way that leaves as little impact on the environment as possible. And the farmer we spoke to here, Zipporah, talked about drought-tolerant maize crops. Maize is something that many farmers grow in the majority of farmers actually grow maize, even though research shows that maize is not exactly suitable for all parts of the country, but we see a lot of farmers going into maize farming. So scientists are therefore challenged to ensure that they come up with maize varieties that are suitable for the areas where the farmers are. So this day is a day for farmers. So there are a lot of farmers from many parts of this county as well as parts of the country who are here to not only showcase the kind of things that they are doing, but to also learn from other farmers who are here how they can better their production, how they can improve the nutrition of the food that they generate, and how they can leave as little impact on the environment as possible. Well, that's it from Taita Taveta County right now. We will remember we are still in Kirinyaga County. From 1 o'clock we'll be in Kirinyaga County. But that's not the end of this conversation. We'll still continue talking about food. We'll still tell you more about this day in our subsequent broadcasts. Enjoy your viewing.